Larry Bird's not walking through that door, fans. Kevin McHale's not walking through that door, and Robert Parrish is not walking through that door. And if you expect them to walk through the door, they're going to be gray and old. What we are is young, exciting, hardworking, and going to improve. People don't realize that. And as soon as they realize that those three guys are not coming through that door, the better this town will be for all of us. Because they're young guys in that room playing their ass off. I wish we had $90 million under the salary cap. Wish we could buy the world. We can't. The only way we can do is work hard.
Anyway, so here comes Rick. So we can open the floor, open season on on Rick and his disastrous regime.
What was your relationship like with Rick?
It had up and down, and it started out very good because I knew him back the BU days, and when he's the boy wonder 24-year-old coach a little bit, and I followed him when he went to the Knicks as an assistant under Hubie, and then he is announced as the head coach at Providence by Dave Gavitt. We didn't know who he was coming. He walked in the door as Rick Pitino. No, after Rick got hired, I went down to Providence and had lunch with him at Famous Murphy's, which everybody who covers basketball over the years knows very well. And he tells me that, among other things, he's got this kid, Billy Donovan, who needs to lose, whether it was 15 or 20 pounds, he needs to lose weight. And if he doesn't, he's out of here. And that's Billy Donovan. Well, Billy Donovan did, as he was ordered to do, and leads them to a Final Four in Rick's first year in Providence. And Rick, that was the first year of the college adoption of the three-point shot. And Rick embraced it immediately. Other coaches did not. Denny Crum, Raleigh Massimino, among others. He did. And he had built that Billy Donovan and Pop Lewis, if you remember Pop Lewis. And I forget what other guard. And they were Bombardiers, and they did it. And it took them all the way. They beat Georgetown in a famous regional final game. With Allen Iverson, and they beat them, and they went to the Final Four. I'm sorry, but I'm sorry, correction. That was UMass. I'm sorry. They got to the Final Four, and the way in the regional championship game, he reversed course. And everybody was expecting him to be shooting all those threes. Instead, they dumped the ball continually into their big man, Steve Wright, so he could shift gears. Anyway, I had a good relationship with Rick for up and down, but at time you have to write stuff. And also when he was at Kentucky at the NCAA tournament, I had sat down with him in San Francisco, and we talked about possible return to the NBA. So at that point in time, we were getting along pretty well. It didn't last.
What was his mistake? Let me tell you. Here's my Rick Pitino story. Here's my Rick Pitino story. Excuse me. I'm working for Channel 4. My job, actually, I was working for Channel 56 with Michael Barkan. My job was to follow Rick Pitino during the coronation from the Causeway offices down the street over to the new Fleet Center. Right? So as we're rolling, we got the microphones on him. He's walking. The media's all around him. I think we're live on TV at that point. I mean, it really was such a big deal. I mean, it really was. It had a royalty feel to it.
Yeah, sure. Oh, yeah.
There was so much expectation put on the guy. And I remember Stuart Lane was the marketing person.
Oh, yes.
And I think Rick he wanted us to hear this. I don't know, but he said, Stuart, we need to discuss the uniforms and the coordination with the uniforms and the sneakers and, how all of that sort of thing needs to work, like a new shoe deal. So, and, when things got rough for Rick, who's a great coach, I need to say this. He's one of the all-time greatest coaches. From my point of view, I thought he lost focus on what he did best. I thought he was trying to do everything as opposed to just coach the team.
You are 100% correct, and he had admitted that in the piece in Celtics City, that trying to be president and coach was too much. He has one regret, that he assumed the presidency, and of course in so doing, this made Red the quote vice chairman of the board,
right?
But without any day-to-day power. frankly, anymore, or not much.
Well, I remember when Red wasn't Red wasn't on the podium. That was a story.
Yeah. But in general, my theory has always been that Rick, you're right, was always a good coach, but he was a lousy general manager. He was an oddly curious, not good judge of NBA talent.
Right.
He had been a good college recruiter, but it didn't translate. And first thing he did was run off a guy who was I won't say quintessential, but a very model Celtic on and off the court, Rick Fox. He runs him out. He runs out David Wesley. No, not a great player. People don't even remember him, but he was a sturdy, dogged defender who could shoot a three. And he ran him right out. And of course, Rick Fox went on, to get a ring in LA and have, and he would, anyway. He brings in Travis Knight, who did have a big night the first night. Then he beat the Bulls his opening game, but not too many thereafter. Anyway, and of course, the drafting and what he did with Chauncey Billups. He drafts Chauncey Billups at number 3. Chauncey Billups, everybody and himself knew he wasn't a point guard. He was a combo. He was a nice college player at the time, a good player, but he wasn't a pure point. And Rick got to shoehorn into making him into a point. Chauncey Billups played 51 games as a Boston Celtic before he was traded. Okay. Now that launched an odyssey in which he went from Boston to Denver to Minnesota and then to Detroit. And at Detroit, he found himself. At Detroit, It all came into that Hall of Fame resume. He's in the Hall of Fame. That Hall of Fame resume began on his 5th NBA stop, in Detroit. And then I forgot. Then he went to the Knicks, the Clippers, and back to Detroit before he retired. So he got around. He can tell you where to get a good meal in a lot of cities. I can tell you that. But anyway, Rick gave up on him very quickly.
Well, he's very
and shouldn't have even drafted him as a point guard. Now, the point guard he got was a legitimate point guard, Kenny Anderson. And he had something left. But still, so he gives up on Chauncey. He was a bad general manager. He was his own worst enemy. It was himself as a GM, and and of course, so that's the summation of it all.
Well,
and of course, they ended.
He was a great, and sometimes people will say, well, the NBA wasn't right. Well, NBA wasn't right for him. He was a great coach with the Knicks.
He was the first time around.
He did a good job.
The league had changed. The league had changed to a degree, and he didn't catch up to the change.
Right, he didn't pick the players with the Knicks. He just coached.
When he was assistant with Hubie, it was not the same.
Right.
And so no. And anyway, so we go through Rick, and we get to hear the famous proclamation about Larry Bird and Kevin and Robert not walking through that door.
I know.
We got it there. We do get this one. But now the great revelation and the humorous, if you will, revelation, the weight loss thing with the coaches. I knew nothing about this. Did you ever hear or get any whiff,
yes.
Gary?
Chris Wallace.
You did.
Chris Wallace.
You did.
Well, I was around the team a lot then because I went from 56 to Channel 4. Mm-hmm. And I was there every day. I was there when speaking of Michael Holley, I think I was there when Michael Holley's first day on the job. I think. Okay. I remember meeting Michael Holley when the kid from Australia was working out. I thought anyways. And I remember, I think it was Travis Knight. I remember they brought him in. And Chris Wallace, because Chris had done the Blue Ribbon basketball book. So he was familiar with the media.
He created Blue Ribbon.
Right.
Yes.
So he liked to talk to the media. So we were like, Chris, what's up? Because he dropped a lot of weight. It was a little cult-like. It was like everybody's losing weight. It was a little cultish.
Well, he sends out a written directive to the coaching staff about losing weight.
Well, and the front office, too.
Oh, it had a weight target? Yeah, I mean, this sailed over my head. Okay, I didn't know at all. And now, by the way, I talked to Chris only 2 days ago, and not, just kidding him about it. But that's not the reason I talked to him. But I did talk to Chris. Doing fine in Houston, by the way.
Good.
He's been there since 2021. So anyway, so the weight loss, people, you'll get when you watch this, you get what? You go, what? I mean, this didn't happen. Well, it did happen. Yeah, and that was part of it. neither here nor there, but it's a part of his
Well,
resume.
Rick was really, I remember being around practice, and I think I got kicked out once because I went in the wrong area or something. Again, Pitino was a great coach, and I really want people to understand that. But he was trying to be Pat Riley, I think, or trying to control everything.
Game Time is just a terrific app. And if you're looking for tickets, the Game Time app is a great way to get Celtics tickets. Also, not just Celtic tickets, but also for concerts and shows as well. Plus, they have a new feature called Game Time Picks that makes getting tickets to see your favorite teams play live even easier. It'll filter out all the fluff, and it'll give you incredible deals on great seats right away. You don't have to waste time searching through thousands of tickets and thousands of websites. And then don't forget, they have the super deal with the Game Time app. The super deal is the best deal on the board at that particular time, so you can always make sure you're on the lookout for that. So download the Game Time app today, create an account, use the code CLNS for $20 off your first purchase. Again, download the Game Time app, create an account, use code CLNS for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account, redeem the code CLNS for $20 off. Download Game Time today. What time is it? Why, it's game time.
Tonight, Larry Bird no longer is a Celtic. News 4 has just learned that Bird will take the head coaching job with the NBA Indiana Pacers.
That news comes just hours after Rick Pitino made his first Boston appearance as the new Celtics coach this afternoon at the Fleet Center. So Rick is in and Larry is out.
The Rick Pitino era officially begins. Pitino announced today, introduced as the Celtics' new head coach and president. Make no mistake about it, the Celtics are Pitino's team. He runs the whole show. Fans are hoping this is the start of great things.
It could have been even more impressive than it was. They could have wheeled him in the Pope-mobile. But short of that, it was a grand affair for Rick Pitino. 2 tiers of cameras to record the event. The parquet floor below him, the banners behind him, and the challenge of a lifetime ahead of him.
Pressure, to me, is the greatest friend you have in life. It's your greatest ally. It forces you to work every minute of every hour of every day. It forces you to work up to your potential. And it gets you to get the message across to all the players that they are representing the greatest tradition in all of sports. We'll make sure that they understand what it is to put that jersey on.
In the new order, Red Auerbach becomes vice chairman of the Celts, and ML Carr becomes VP for corporate development. But not only is ML Carr still standing, a claim many of his colleagues can no longer make, ML is still smiling.
Obviously, there are other streams of revenue that you want to generate for this organization because, ticket sales and all that will not keep up with the escalating costs of players and coaches.
Pitino said he wants Carr to do the honors on draft day. Pitino said all the right things today as the Celts prepare to move forward. It did seem more like a coronation than a news conference, but Pitino handled it with style.
Uncomfortable? No. I'm uncomfortable and humbled sitting below these banners, but I'm very excited to contribute to the raising of another one.
Well, I think that everywhere he's been, he's obviously won. So as far as next year's concerned, he'll win some games. I don't know how many he's going to win, but before it's all over, I think he'll get the whole thing done.
Rick has been my choice all the way down the line. I never dreamed that we would get him.
Well, since 1950, the Celtics have met Red Auerbach, but he too will have a new role and title. Red will now be vice chairman of the board. But as Bob Newmeyer tells us, Red seems energized by the Celtic changes.
Red Auerbach will be 80 years old in mid-September, and he has seen it all, from the glory of 16 championships to the humiliation of the recent 15-win season.
It hurt me a lot, because it's not like me to be associated with a loser.
Coach Auerbach is the top of his tradition.
Red admits he sees a little of himself in Rick Pitino, a champion of conditioning, of defense, and of fast-break basketball. Does the hiring of Rick Pitino then rejuvenate you in any way? Does it restart your engine even at your age?
That's a good question, and the answer is yes, Bob. I think I feel good about it. I really do. He was my number one choice of anybody in the country to take over this ball club.
Red Auerbach would be the first to tell you that he has a big ego. So I would think does Larry Bird, so does Rick Pitino, so do all successful people.
It's a funny kind of ego, because it always has one aim: to win.
Anything I said, Steve, not even this minuscule amount with what I said. Why don't you teach you guys to shoot free throws? And that's what we try to do all day long. We try to miss our free throws intentionally. We need encouragement. We need an upbeat attitude. We need to turn this thing around. So no, it's not their job. I'm just telling you what would help us. That my job is not to tell them how to act. My job is to tell them, look, if you get behind us, we'll get over the edge a little bit and we'll win some of these games.
When you reflect on what you said after the game on Wednesday night, do you regret saying it in that heat of the moment? Or
Not at all.
You don't take anything back? You don't, because...
I'm not directing it at one individual. I'm not making one individual feel, but it's what I felt. And I have no problem with what I said. I only have a problem in anything I say when it hurts someone's feelings. If I say something that makes someone feel bad, but I have no repercussions at all in what I've said.
NBA History Channel is brought to you by Prize Picks and the Game Time app.